And welcome to the Cowbell Kingdom Road Reaction Postgame Show. I'm Jonathan Santiago. With me, James Ham. And we are recapping the Kings' 114-97 victory over the New Orleans Pelicans. Very, very good win for the Kings tonight. A much-needed win for them. They've now won two of 5 games on their 6-game road trip here, season-long road trip for them. And, with the exception of one quarter where they had, a lapse in terms of their play, they really did just manhandle the New Orleans Pelicans tonight.
Yeah, John, they go out and they blow them up. They drop 38 on the Pelicans in the first quarter, 38-20. They have an 18-point lead. And then they give up 36 in the second quarter. What a disaster. I would not want to be in that locker room because you could see that the locker room was ugly. Malone went crazy, and they go from 36 in the second quarter to 14 in the third quarter. That's called coaching. If there's one thing I remember about Coach Smart, it was that the Kings usually came out in the third quarter and got killed. And that's just not the case here. Great third quarter performance, great overall game, good win. That's what you have to do against a team that's really reeling in the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah, the Pelicans shot 78.6% from the field in the second quarter, 11 of 14. That was an opponent's season high for the Kings, and they did bounce back in that third period, where they limited the Pelicans to 14 points on 6 of 17 shooting from the field. So they did really make some good adjustments, some good defensive adjustments. And I'll have more thoughts on that as to what I thought the biggest adjustment was, or the biggest difference maker in that third quarter, in my opinion, was later on in the show. But let's go to our 3 things to watch. And question number 1 is, can the Kings right their ship and send New Orleans back on the losing trail? Of course, the New Orleans Pelicans, they had lost 8 straight before winning last night in Memphis against the Memphis Grizzlies. Tonight, obviously, they didn't have it. I just thought that you're watching the broadcast with Grant Napier and Jay Reynolds, and they're talking about how I think Grant made references to how it was like a library in there, and it was just really quiet. There was no energy. Even when the Pelicans were making their comeback in the second quarter, I just never really. You could even see it and feel it from the television screen that there just was no energy. And if the Kings could just find a way to, pummel them to the ground, which they did in the third quarter, that the game would pretty much be decided, and that's just what happened.
Yeah, John, I miss the quiet hum of a television set. You always knew when you walked in a room that the television was on because you could hear that hum, and it's gone with all these new TVs. So we could actually hear crickets from the New Orleans crowd. That was an embarrassment. John, what I really like is that the Kings are now 2-3 on this 6-game road trip. 6-game road trip is brutal. It doesn't matter who you're playing, where you're playing. It's a disaster most of the time. The Kings are hanging tough. And if I'm not mistaken, they're 2-0 on the season against the Houston Rockets. So they actually walk into a game against a very good opponent with an opportunity to break even on a 6-game road trip. And that's something that I don't think we've seen in a long time from this Kings team. DeMarcus Cousins, again, picks up his 15th consecutive double-double. And now the Kings are 8-7 in those double-doubles, which is really nice to see. That it's not just a streak that is hollow. This was a bad Kings team coming into that streak, and now we're seeing them starting to put together quality wins.
Yeah, the Kings coming away with definitely a quality win tonight. Again, 114-97 over the New Orleans Pelicans. Point number 2, can Rudy Gay dominate? And we do remember on Sunday against the Oklahoma City Thunder, not the Rudy Gay type performance we've become accustomed to since he was traded here to Sacramento last month. He was ejected from the game, drew a technical foul, finished with I think around 6 points against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But tonight, just dominant. 41 points, matches a career high. 16 of 25 shooting from the field, 64% from the field, 5 of 8 shooting from 3-point distance. That's the most. That's the most efficient he shot from 3-point land in a Kings uniform. 5 assists, 8 rebounds. I mean, he did everything. He did everything right tonight.
You know, John, you and I talked about this before the game. I mean, before we came on the show. There is something that sticks out to me and sticks out to you. It's that Rudy Gay was in this game way, way longer than he should have been. And I don't quite get that. You got a back-to-back game tomorrow. I think he ends up with, almost 43 minutes played in a blowout win. I'm not quite sure what the deal was. It seemed like Coach Malone literally had it on his calendar that Mr. Rudy Gay needed more than 41 points to set a career high, and he wanted his guys to feed him. I mean, he pulled Cousins out of the game. He just stuck with Rudy Gay. Dude, Rudy Gay is incredible to watch. There's no other way to say it. He's had a couple of bad games since he's been in Sacramento, but what a joy to watch. He just makes watching the Sacramento Kings so much more enjoyable, so much more watchable. I mean, he's such a fluid athlete. We keep saying it. It's like, holy cow, this guy's like, you know what he is, John? He's manna from heaven.
Who is that?
Hashtag David Kahn.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there you go. That's where that came. I forgot about that one. Yeah, Rudy Gay was he was pretty dominant tonight, and as we talked about before the show came on, I was just confused in the fourth quarter. I mean, they were up pretty much 20 points throughout the entire period, and I thought at around the 7-minute mark when New Orleans called that timeout that Malone would just empty his bench and go to his reserves, and he stuck with Rudy Gay, he stuck with Isaiah Thomas. I think DeMarcus was still in the game at that point. I'm not sure, but he stuck with those guys, and I was just kind of confused by it because, again, as you mentioned, they have another game tomorrow night against the Houston Rockets. And get those guys some rest so that you can try and close out this 6-game road trip with a victory and finish it off with a 3-3 record. But I don't know, that was not the case. But moving on now to point number 3. Can anyone stop DeMarcus Cousins? He stopped himself briefly in that second quarter. Picking up 3 fouls and then the technical foul. His 11th of the season, but he was impressive as well tonight. 18 points, 11 rebounds, 15 straight double-doubles now. That's an NBA season high, and that's also a franchise record double-double streak set by DeMarcus Cousins, and the 6 assists were big as well. He had 5 of those assists in the first quarter. So DeMarcus Cousins, again, they didn't really have an answer for him down in the middle of the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah, and also, John, let's not forget, I think, career-high 4 blocks. Not only did he have 4 blocks, but I think he had 3 charges that he took. Again, we've talked about this in the past, John. You can believe in blocks or you can't. I know it helps to have blocks. The Kings had 10 blocks as a team tonight. But I would like to see the stat on how many times the Pelicans got the ball back on a block, which I think was probably like 4 of those 6 times. I mean, those 10 blocks. So like 40% of the time. And what I love about charges is, number 1, it shows that you're in good defensive position to take a charge. Number 2, it is a true change of possession. And so I'm cool with DeMarcus Cousins tonight, probably, combining blocks and then charges taken. We're looking at like 7 or 8 legitimate strong defensive plays, besides the fact that they did a really nice job. This team, the Pelicans, they just don't run anyone out against you, especially with since Ryan Anderson's injured. It's sort of Anthony Davis and then no one else. So Greg Stiesma, goes basically scoreless. He's got more personal fouls than he's got anything else in his 11 minutes. Ajinka had no chance to stop Cousins. So even Jeff Withey he got a few dunks. He had 14 points, a nice night. But again, you just can't stop DeMarcus Cousins right now. He's rolling, and he's not only rolling, he's making this team better, and that's what you have to hope for as the season progresses.
Yeah, and then moving on now to our player of the game, that's exactly who I'm going with. I know the easy answer would be going with Rudy Gay and his 41, career matching his career high 41 points. But as I mentioned, James, in the second quarter, he played less than 2 minutes in that second quarter, and the great Daryl Larada of Kings Media Relations sent out this text message alert to everybody and said that the Kings had led 55-35 before Cousins picked up his third foul with 5:09 remaining, and then the Pelicans went on to outscore the Kings 21-9 after that. And in that third period, he played the entire third period, all 12 minutes, and more than the double-double to me, I thought he made a huge impact defensively, as you pointed out, being able to draw the charges and also contest shots with his shot blocking. He did have that one shot block taken away because it was a foul on Anthony Davis in the second quarter, his third foul of the game. I really thought that he impacted the game so much defensively tonight for the Kings, and that was, to me, primarily the reason why they won tonight was just his effort on the defensive end, and that's why I think he's the player of the game.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy him as a player of the game. I mean, I think Rudy Gay, number one, 41 points was incredible. He was so good from everywhere. I mean, 5 of 8 from three-point land. This guy is coming on so strong. But also, like an honorable mention for me, Jason Thompson, 11 points, 8 rebounds. He had a block. He fouled out near the end of the game, 5 of 8 shooting. Like DeMarcus Cousins, Isaiah Thomas, and I think there may have even been whatever. They all had technicals. But he really did a strong job against Anthony Davis. And when you're playing a team that has 0 post presence outside of Anthony Davis, and you hold the guy to 16 points on 4 of 12 shooting, only 6 rebounds, you really kept him off the glass. And not only that, but you forced him into 4 turnovers. That's a great game for Jason Thompson. I mean, Jason Thompson basically equalized Anthony Davis, and when you're playing a team that basically has Anthony Davis and then Tyreke Evans off the bench, Eric Gordon, who just has a horrific game. I really like Brian Roberts. I was impressed by his ability to shoot the outside jumper, but this team is really, really soft right now because of injury, especially Drew Holiday out. You can just keep going. This team is missing players all over. And so, I don't know, a co-player of the night, as far as Rudy Gay with the incredible offensive night, Jason Thompson with the incredible defensive night, and really I thought he played strong.
All right, let's before we wrap this thing up, James, let's talk a little bit more about just the end of that game. I know it's hard to harp on a coach or just decisions when you're winning, but again, as we touched on early on, I was just really shocked to see the players who, the starting unit or most of the starters or their key players still in the game in that fourth period, especially when the game was at hand. And I'll be interested to see, after we wrap this thing up, Coach Malone's post-game comments, if he had addressed that at all or if anyone asked him about that. But they have a legit chance to finish 3-3 on a 6-game road trip. That's a season-long road trip, and not many teams, whether you're
they have a 7-gamer late in the season.
Okay, 7. Yeah, I thought it was season-long. So I mean, still a long road trip. Yes. To finish 3-3 in 6 games. The possibility of finishing 3-3 on a 6-game road trip. Not even elite teams have great opportunities to do that. It's very tough to finish at around 500 or even above 500. So I just kind of thought that it was a decision that might have put that a little bit in jeopardy, but we'll have to see how it pans out tomorrow night.
Yeah, John, the thing that really bugs me too is that that your first home game back is against Indiana, and this team, along with every other team in the NBA, just realistically, they have a difficult time matching up against Indiana. Indiana is really, really playing well. They're a very strong team. And so I would like to see Malone go for the win tomorrow night. And we talked about Carl Landry not playing. I thought that was a little bit strange. But then again, we don't know how Carl felt. And the other thing we don't know is in a game like tonight where you know that you're going to win, where you clearly have a strong showing by Quincy Acey. He sets a career high with 10 rebounds. He does a really nice job, especially 6 offensive rebounds. Really, really nice night by Quincy Acey on the glass. But maybe that's what they were doing. Maybe they were saving Carl Landry for tomorrow night. Maybe they're saving Jimmer Fredette for tomorrow night. Ben McLemore. Why in the world? Ben McLemore had played well in the previous game, and to see 7 minutes for him, again, I don't know what it is, but I feel like maybe Malone got a little caught up in the fact that Marcus Thornton was playing in front of his home crowd, that his mom was in the stands. I mean, he gets almost 29 minutes. I thought he played solid defense. I'm going to give him that. But the fact is, he goes 0 for 3 from three-point range. And not only that, John, did you see his misses from three-point range? He had a wide-open look where Isaiah drew the entire defense to him, took it all the way to the basket, kicked it out to Marcus Thornton on the left wing for a wide-open three-pointer. He missed by 2 feet. He didn't even catch glass. I mean, dude, just a flat-out air ball, and he's been doing that pretty consistently lately, where he's either catching the front rim or he's just completely airballing his shot. And his confidence is shot. There's no questions about that. But again, I just don't get it. Why Ben McLemore, promising young rookie who's doing a lot of good things, and why Jimmer Fredette, who again, he goes 2 of 3 from the field, scores 5 points. Marcus Thornton scores 6 points. One plays 29 minutes, one plays 7.5. And to me, that's just, I would have liked to have seen him mixed up a little more and do something different there. But, a win is a win, right?
Yeah. Once again, the Pelicans with a 114-97 win. They close out the road trip tomorrow with the Houston
Kings.
Rockets.
You said the Pelicans.
Oh,
the Kings with a 114-97 win.
I'm just. It's the orange juice, I guess. I don't know. That is just orange juice. But yeah, 114-97 victory for the Sacramento Kings over the New Orleans Pelicans, and we'll see if they can do it again tomorrow night. I mean, they do have a legitimate chance. I think DeMarcus Cousins has outplayed Dwight Howard. Their first 2 meetings.
Owned him.
There's no doubt in my mind that he's capable of doing it again, even though the Rockets have played better lately, with the exception of last week's game where they scored 73 points in the first half and then 19 in the second. Yeah. Who did they play that game? Do you remember?
I don't, but I do know that basically what they're doing is they're jumping all over teams early, and then they're not being able to finish. That's sort of the modus operandi. It wasn't Portland, was it?
No, it was the Thunder.
Oklahoma. Oh, it was the Thunder. Oh, okay, well that's tough. I mean, the Thunder are really good.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you want to be good, you got to be good, right? I mean, that's sort of the way it goes.
Well, they had a good win. They're coming off a win where they beat the Blazers 126-113. So.
Yeah. So, well, John, the Kings are in for a tough night if they let Dwight Howard get off, but the fact is DeMarcus Cousins has just really, really played well against Dwight Howard, and that's something that sort of you can pencil in, that DeMarcus Cousins always looks at these guys that are going to make the All-Star team, and he comes out strong. It's a personal thing that he wants to put a stamp on a game, and so I wouldn't put it past him to have another big night.
Yeah, and he's just been consistent, I think, throughout, most of the season, with the exception of a few games here where he hasn't really had a chance to put his stamp on the game. I think tonight he did it, defensively more so than just on offense. But good night for DeMarcus, and another chance for him to continue his push for All-Star Weekend. The voting is now concluded, in case you you were wondering, for NBA All-Star Weekend. The starters will be announced on Thursday on Inside the NBA or TNT's NBA pregame show. So we'll see where DeMarcus ends up falling in the All-Star voting there. But again, the Pelicans falling to the Sacramento Kings 114-97. We'll be back tomorrow with another Road Reaction postgame show following the Houston Rockets and Sacramento Kings matchup. So until then, thank you for joining us. And for James Ab, I'm Jonathan Santiago. Thanks for tuning in to the Road Reaction postgame show.